This is where God started confirming that we were not crazy. A few days after that, I was in my car with my girlfriends and we were talking about the Lord because we were sensing that God was up to something, that there was a shift in the spirit, but we could not explain what it was. We knew that what was going on in our lives, there was a reason for it, and God was up to something new. But then something beautiful happened. The presence of the Lord filled my car. We were busting out in tongues. We were praising. We were worshiping. We were crying. We were sensing His presence so thick. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, God, this is so beautiful. We knew that what we were feeling had nothing to do with emotions or just feelings. We knew that God was confirming what we were talking about was what He was actually doing. This was such a beautiful moment. So that happened. I drop off my girlfriend at home. I'm heading home and I start talking to the Lord. And I'm like, okay, God, I know you're doing something new. I don't know what it is, but God, financially, we're not working. We don't know how we're paying our rent. I'm like, God, your word says that we will not be begging for bread. I said, God, you've always been taking care of us. You've always been there. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know the solution. You know the solution. And I'm like, God, what should we do financially? And then the Lord dropped in my spirit, Uber. So I'm like, Uber? And I'm like, God, Uber? I'm like, I don't feel comfortable doing Uber because I'm a woman and I don't feel comfortable having a stranger in my car, driving the person behind me in New York City. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with that idea at all. So then I said, Lord, I'm just asking you to reveal to my husband, what is it that we can do? Because I don't have the idea. I don't have the solution. I don't know anything. The ideas were just not coming to me. Lo and behold, when the Lord dropped Uber in my spirit, He was already talking to me. I just didn't understand the fullness of it. So I was like 5 minutes out from my house. I get home. I would say my husband, super excited. He's ready. He's ready for me, waiting for me to bring the car so he can get on the road. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I was praying, talking to the Lord, and I felt the Lord tell me to do Uber Eats. I'm like, Uber Eats. So immediately it strikes me. I'm like, oh, Uber Eats. You don't have to put people in your car. I'm like, okay. But then I froze and I'm like, boo, I was just talking to the Lord about telling you what to do because I don't know what to do. And He was like, really? I'm like, yeah. And we're like, man, look at God. But then remember I said to you guys in the previous video that God were restoring our marriage, even though we didn't know our marriage needed restoring. We were so used to working and we didn't know that we were stressed because of the fast-paced lifestyle and stuff. We didn't know that. But God literally told us both to do it together. Go on the road together, do it in one vehicle, do it together. This is causing us to spend ample time together, and it's like the continuation of the restoration that He's doing. We were laughing, we were excited, we just felt so free doing Uber Eats, and then money was coming in. We were getting some huge tips, and it was great. But then, let me tell y'all, of course, now we're making money. Now it's no longer about marriage. Now it's no longer about us time. Now it's about figuring out how long we need to stay on the road because we need to make a certain amount of money in order to pay the bills at the ending of the month, right? So that's within 1 month, guys. So we're going through all of this and we went right back to the hustling, right back to the very thing that God was pulling us out of. But let me tell y'all something. When God has a sovereign plan, God will disrupt anything that will mess it up. He will disrupt anything because, like I said, He was restoring us. It felt like we were dating all over again. It felt like we were in our early 20s again. It felt like our relationship was new, and God is like, no, that's not what I'm calling you to. God started stripping us all over again. He gave the blessing and like, okay, you're praying, I'm giving you the solution here. But then when we started making life about the money, we started trying to implement our own solution from our own carnal mind and make things work and not depending on him, he started to dwindle down the orders. So then my husband and I, we were like, okay, it seems like we're missing something, because we would be on the street late, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just going, just super tired. And we were doing that like back to back. And we were like, and we were like, okay, we're missing something because God is not pleased with this. So we're like, we can't be on the road so long. So we were so exhausted. We were like, okay, we can't do this. So then my husband was like, okay, we're going to have to stay less on the road. But when we're staying less on the road, we're not getting as many orders. And even when we said, okay, let's amp it up and let's stay a little longer. The orders miraculously started dying down. And we're like, okay, God, we see you. We didn't say, oh, that's the devil. We knew it was God because of how he was already disrupting things and he was speaking. We just didn't have the clarity. So that happens. We started still making time for us and going on the road, but really choosing the times, like just the peak hours. That's what we started doing. Then when we're calculating what's coming in, we're like, this is not going, it's not going to cut it at the end of the month. The rent, the groceries, we eat organic, the bills, it's just not going to cut it. So we're like, well, we're just going to trust God. Guys, let me tell y'all, what was coming in was not sufficient to pay every bill we had at the end of the month. But let me tell you something. I don't know how, as of this day, how, but supernaturally, every bill was being paid. Supernaturally, no bill was late. The rent was never late. Nothing was late. Everything was being paid on time by the power and the grace of God. We were like, but how are we even able to pay the rent, pay the bills, pay food, pay all of this with this amount of money? It doesn't make sense. And I said to my husband, listen, we are not going to try to make this thing make sense, because with God, nothing will make sense. I'm just like, let's just thank God that he is moving and things are actually getting paid. If you think that move was supernatural, wait till you hear the following part. Stay tuned. I promise you, it's going to bless you.